Hey guys, Arthur Cade, BroBible's Endless Hustle, Benedict Edson, congrats. Beautiful movie you guys made, all about valuing the small moments that make up life. So congratulations. I want to start it off by asking both of you, and I'll start with you, Edson.
Mhm.
If you were to define a moment in your life that really is the essence of beauty in your mind that you've experienced, what is that moment?
Oh man. Yeah, I would say a moment with my family, with my mom, my brother, my dad. It's just like maybe at the swimming pool or maybe on vacation, and just when you're just when you knew we had each other. And I think that I can't think of anything specific, but yeah, it would be one moment with them all. Yeah.
Benedict, for you, besides working with Cumberbatch, what's your moment?
Yeah, well, apart from that one, yeah, hey, the birth of my son with my wife, and just it's just the union of our love, and that's our son arrived, and it was a journey. It was amazing. It was amazing. It was kind of scary in all different ways, but yeah, that was a wonderful moment.
Benedict, for you, obviously, getting to make a movie like this, and it's Edson's first feature. It's getting rave reviews. Beautiful, beautiful debut for him. But you've gotten to participate in the other side of the universe, that being the Marvel universe. How did being part of that change your life as an actor, both personally and professionally?
What being in the Marvel universe?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I certainly knew that. I mean, on a personal level, I'm like Keo. I'm the oldest character, but the biggest kid, and that's pretty much like me. I love Marvel comics, and there's kind of this weird alignment going on in my career. I'm playing a character called Wong, and it's just like I'm in the Marvel universe. That side of me is fully sated. In terms of portaling through every single movie. So, I'm happy about that. And then, but to find a rare gem like this with 9 days, it's like, for me, is like, it's one of the Infinity Stones, do you know what I mean, in itself. For a first-time feature director, you just think, who the hell has written this, So like to literally kind of meet him and then finally sort of, like me and like many of us of the cast and crew that made that journey to Utah with this passion that was written in this script, we dared to tell this story in 24 days with a tenth of the budget of a Marvel movie, and what we have is priceless.
Yeah. Edson, do you realize he just compared your movie to an Infinity Stone? That might be the greatest plug I think I've ever heard in all the years of doing this.
And I think he compared me to Thanos, It was just like a cut.
Yeah, he's got the vulnerability stone.
There's a soul stone, right? There's a soul stone, yeah.
So for you making your first movie, Edson, and to be getting obviously the feedback you're getting, the festivals, and people love it. I loved it, and it was so touching.
Thank you.
How much does that mean to you?
No, it means the word to me. It's just it's surreal, just like to see the reactions we're getting from people watching this movie. But it's interesting that I think the thing that stays in me is mostly those messages, or just people talking to me in a very vulnerable way, saying like what that the movie meant to them, or something that they experience, that somehow they connect. They just like have a different perspective towards that after watching my movie, and those things are just priceless, man. It's just like I read sometimes when I feel not motivated to work or like about my next film, I just read those emails, feel like, oh, I think I need to keep making movies or working on this.
All right, Tony, Ariana, and David, congratulations on a beautiful, beautiful movie. I think it feels like we get to see a huge amount of life, but we don't really pay attention to all the wonderful moments. And this movie is all about paying attention to those wonderful moments. So I want to start with all three of you, and I'll kick it off with you, Tony. I know the easy answer is there's a ton of them, But if you were able to identify one beautiful moment in your life that really defines the essence of who you are, what is that moment?
Oh my God, Arthur, come on. I would say getting a Snickers at 7-Eleven. No, I honestly, I'm in Nashville with a buddy, and last night we were having a glass of wine and just catching up, and those are my favorite moments. Like, I love to be with my family. I love to be with my friends. I just love very simple. If I'm not into big vacations, I just like connecting with people. So I think that's like definitely probably I remember we even shooting this movie, we would go out, and those are the times I treasure. That's what I remember the most.
David, how about you?
Yeah, I'm very tied. Yeah, I love just sitting around a campfire, and I like being in nature and sitting around with people I love, laughing. I think that's I feel like the moments in life that I often I'm like, I get stressed about industry things or whatever it is, and I'm like, let me just take a breath and go call my brother and go, those are the moments and this movie I think does help remind us, we're in it. We still need to be reminded of it all the time, that life is short and it's precious, and let's give to the world and give to each other. And I think, I think that is what I'm also the happiest when I'm within nature and with people I love. Yeah.
And then Ariana, we'll throw it to you.
Long walks. I was a latchkey kid. I walked myself to kindergarten. I think like it got me into a place of my life where I just love walking. So during COVID, when we're all locked down, I would literally spend the day just walking. I would walk like 7 miles. I would walk from like middle of LA to Burbank. I love going on long walks.
So there were so many great characters in this movie, and without giving too much away, obviously it's about who is going to win the chance to go on and live. What I would love to have seen, and this would be, I feel like, a comedic spinoff, and this is for you, Tony. Gary from Veep is one of my all-time favorite characters. So if we threw Gary into this gauntlet of fighting for your life, how do you think he would do?
Not well, Arthur. However, I think Selena was Will's character, who was constantly giving him permission to live or not live. So all of Veep was, if you were looking at like Winston choosing whether, that was Selena. She was just like, I was called a bitchy mime on the show. She let me speak or not speak. So I just never spoke. So like, she had the same control Winston had over our lives.
I feel like 9 Days may now be a ripoff of Veep.
Yeah,
he may have stolen the whole idea
Arthur.
and cast you in at Meta. How meta is that?
Never going to be able to watch the movie the same again.
Exactly.
So for each one of you, what is a takeaway that you hope everyone gets from this movie? Obviously the beautiful moment part, but outside of that, what is the one takeaway that when people see 9 Days, you hope they experience?
Just, I think a reconnection with our humanity, which I think we all kind of need right now, and cherishing, small moments and just being alive.
Yeah. I think thinking about the baggage that we bring to our interactions, like Will brings a lot of his baggage from life into his choosing which souls can live, and that it also affects how he's living his life in the afterlife, and is limiting his joy and his connection. And I think we all have that baggage, that armor we put on every day. And I think this movie is about sensitivity and about how much we show the world and how much we risk to be seen and to see others. I think that's an important message to talk about.
I like you said, risk, David, because I would piggyback off of that. And all of these characters, they didn't change themselves to play Will's game. Like, I think they were fully themselves and they took risks. And those risks in the end, for many of us, ended up that not happening, but they took the risk. And I think that's a great takeaway.
Winston and Zassi, first of all, congratulations. Beautiful, beautiful movie you guys made here. All about the moments in life, breathing them in and enjoying them. I loved it. I'm the worst victim of not doing that stuff. So I love movies like this. That being said, I'm going to start with you, Winston, but this is a question for both of you. If you were to really define a moment in your own life where you experienced true beauty, something that really defines the essence of what beauty is for you, for each one of you, what is that moment?
Oh man, there's so many. It's really hard to choose, but I would say there was a moment in college that I was going through where I was just questioning everything. I was questioning if the way I see the world is the way other people see it. Like, for example, when I see the color green, how can I be sure that the green that I'm seeing is the green that everyone else is seeing? Like, how can we be sure that the things that we think that we are in agreement on is really that? Like, is there any real definite truth? And then I went to the Natural History Museum, right? And I went to this thing. It was like the stars above us or something like that. It was
planetarium.
Yeah, experience up there where they look at the cosmos, colliding cosmos or something like that it was called. And they really talked about how like everything that's out there in the universe is also in our bodies, also like a part of us. And I sat there and I started crying. It was one of the first times that I cried as a young man, because I didn't also feel like that was a thing young men did. Like unless you like lost the game, you know what I mean? Like I was like crying in this thing, and it made me feel comfortable, and I stopped questioning like all that stuff. I also was wondering about death a lot at that time, and it just made me feel really comfortable and at home. And I thought it was incredibly beautiful that everything that exists out there exists in here, and that we're all part of one thing. And to a large degree, this movie is about that. This movie is about how much oneness there is, that, everything that's out there is also in us.
How the heck do you follow that?
I think that it's interesting. I like that answer. I'd also expand. I think a lot of I find also great comfort in acknowledging my smallness, and when I look up at the stars and seeing how big and expansive, and I think about the infiniteness of the universe, I feel very comfortable then in realizing how comparatively small my own problems, worries, or thoughts are, and that my existence truly is the one of the great sleep of before birth and after death. And we're kind of doing this thing right now that's like random and weird and chaos, and then we go back into the state that all things are, and I find that very comforting. But in answer to your question, I suppose it's a bit less existential, but I think to me this moment was kind of this like in some ways like the amalgamation of two things, and that is, so my partner, he is also in the movie. Coincidentally, he plays Michael in the film. And I remember the moment that I fell in love with him. Like, we had already been, I love you. But it was like when the shift sort of happened. And I remember sort of sobbing hysterically because I felt really angry about it. And I was like yelling at him. But I also was like, I'm falling in love, and there's something very wonderful about that. And then also I was so scared, and I was sort of surprised at that feeling of feeling so intensely vulnerable that it made me like upset. And I was like angry, and he kept laughing at me, and I was like, this is not funny. And it was, I think, kind of this, I don't know, to me, this reflection of like the greatest and most wonderful joys are also coupled with fear, and with great risk comes great reward, and that we should be okay to be in both places. So I'll say that.
I love both those answers.
That's so, because like peopling, I said this recently, is like peopling with people is really, really hard.
Yeah.
It's really scary. Like, it's dangerous. You know what I mean? Like that, the name of Michaela Cole's last thing, like, I may destroy you, is like, that's what you risk. You risk like someone actually destroying you if you fall in love.
Yes, you may. Yeah, they may destroy you.
Yeah.
It's very true.
For both of you, obviously, it's got to be such a joy making an indie like this. And obviously, Edson knocked it out of the park. First feature, crushed it. But you've also gotten to experience the opposite end of the spectrum. Obviously, for you to see it, Deadpool, huge franchise. For you, Winston, Black Panther. Now you're filming the second one. Being part of franchises like that for an actor, especially young actors, which both of you are, how does that change the trajectory of your career? How does it change the trajectory of your life?
It opens doors. Yeah, you know, it's like, I think you get more phone calls. You know, I think it's sort of, you know, I think both Winston and I were really lucky to be part of projects that I think are special and unique and really interesting kind of in this larger space. And you know, I like Deadpool outside of being in Deadpool. Like, I think it's really cool and fun. And I think that, but there is also an element of, I think, doing a big studio film it feels a little bit sometimes like this rite of passage into, like, you get a stamp of approval and then the industry trusts you. And so they're like, all right, you did this one. We saw it. We saw, you know, we can work with you. And then all of a sudden other people are like, oh yeah, okay. Okay. If they said yes, we can say yes. And so in some ways it's that, but then also I think opens your eyes to, I don't know. It's like, it's a platform to also do other interesting things, right? Like, those films can then fund that you do something smaller and interesting with a smaller paycheck, or not even paycheck. I don't want to talk about money really, but like, the balance allows you to explore in other ways or to do other things with your life, even outside of film, you know, and having access to both is a great thing. And also different fan bases, blah, blah, blah. It could go on, but.
How about for you, Winston?
For me, I feel like doing those large movies, they thrust you into this sort of microwave of like being able to do other things. Like, they thrust you into this microwave where you get to cook really quickly, right? And you learn responsibility really quickly to handle carrying things and like being a part of really big things. So then when you have to shift and be outside of that, it doesn't feel that large. So going into 9 days, I wasn't intimidated by 9 days' scope and like being in the function that I was in. What I was intimidated by was like, how do we get this much done in such short time? So I didn't feel intimidated by like the lifting and being in conversation and all that. Like, I felt prepared. I knew I could do that. Like, I was cooked, you know what I mean? But my fear, if I did have fear, was around like how we actually get it done on time, and are we going to be able to like get enough shots, things like that. And I think like these larger things also, they really make you a weird ambassador for these worlds. So you just learn so many skills that you never thought you would learn so quickly. Like, you know, coming out of Black Panther, I always say like I went in as an actor and I came out this weird ambassador for, like, a cultural ambassador for Wakanda. And like, I never expected that, you know, like I never expected to become like, to some degree, the way a lot of people get to see themselves and get to feel like they have some sort of familiarity in a world that they're not in proximity to. Because Hollywood is just this space where so many decisions that impact the lives of everyday people are made, right? But those everyday people don't live in any proximity to that. They don't have really any input on those decisions. So it feels really great to come from communities that are from outside of Hollywood. I come from an island of 60,000 people. And now I get to be in positions where I can help put projects together. I get to be in conversations with like really great artists that I probably would never meet outside of this circumstance. Like, I'd only meet Zazie if she came to Tobago on vacation, and I was probably working at like a, what is it, like working at a resort, you know what I mean? Like serving her drinks under other circumstances in this way. But now, like a person like me and people who look like me, sound like me, come from my familiar roots, get to be in boardrooms and like say, like, make sure these people are represented, make sure this kind of conversation is being had. I'm not going to do this if this is not being said. So, you know, those big movies like just put you in this microwave where you emerge something so much bigger than you even anticipated.
So one of the main reasons I started this show was I wanted to talk to successful people about the principles, the mentality that help make them successful. So my question to both of you, what do you do to continue to elevate yourself both on and off screen throughout your life?
I believe that I really do try to continue to challenge myself, both in my work and then also personally. I think it's a little bit of a curse, but I think a lot of creatives have this in terms of like almost anything I do. If I like ever watch a movie back, I'm really upset. At like my performance. There's a whole thing. I spend the day crying and then I'm like, okay. But then I take, I've gotten better at being able to take a step back and be like, okay, that's where I was at that moment. I'm also generally a harder critic of myself than others are. But what can I, from seeing this, take away from that experience and change in the future so I don't potentially feel how I'm feeling right now? What can I look back and be like, this and this happened. I think I've changed how I prepare for scenes now, how long I take to prepare, what I do to prepare, just because I saw things that I feel better when I do these things, and it might take more time or might take more energy, but I think through sort of like taking a step back and like reflecting and then choosing to change and choosing to try to keep being better. Like, Vincent and I are very lucky to be where we are at right now within our careers, but our work is also very fickle. And if you do a couple of bad movies, you're kind of out of it, and so there is pressure to continue to sort of stay engaged and to keep challenging, keep pushing yourself. And we're young. And so, hopefully I'll be doing many things in my life, and maybe one of them will be acting until I'm 80 years old. And I hope I can continue to grow better and be more comfortable in my work. And I think that also happens then internally with my own private life, like emotionally, and I suppose spiritually. I guess I try to challenge myself and like, how do I want to, I wake every single day for me is a new beginning. If I didn't behave, or every moment for me, like I've actually gotten better at that. Like if I have a bad morning, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to take this moment now and I'm going to change it and I'm going to make this a good evening. What are the things I know? Even if it's like, I don't feel like working out, but I know it changes my mindset. So I'm just going to take, even if it's like 20 minutes, just go on a jog, and that'll switch my mindset for the rest of the day as like, now I'm going to continue to engage in my day in an active way, of me taking it and leading it versus letting it happen to me. And, I think you can do that with many different things, but I've gotten good at being able to not just categorize a day or a week or something as like, oh, I failed at this, but to continuously restart and be reborn. And you can always begin again. And that to me has been, I just keep trying to grow and keep trying to balance and keep trying to accept. And I always am starting again. So that to me has helped, I suppose.
We're under the gun, Winston, but quick answer from you.
Quick answer from me. I'll take a page out of Zazie's book and how she describes her character, Emma, which is that she describes her character, Emma, as a person that is just, just constantly curious. And I think keeping a sense of curiosity about your life and about the things that you do really serves you, and it keeps things fresh for a long time. I feel like it's really easy to believe that you know everything. You can go into a lot of circumstances, a lot of situations, believing that you have a clear understanding of what it is, but that also really blocks you from experiencing a lot of things that are going to happen in the moment, and a lot of shifts that are going to come. We were just talking about why I love Invincible so much. in some of the portrayals of the characters, like the wife being in such grief around realizing that her husband is this like crazy person, right? Is this like crazy superhero guy that doesn't see her as as any kind of an equal. And it's those kind of turns in life where you believe you knew something and you lost your curiosity about it because it became such a concretized idea that you lose the curiosity around it. And I feel like in my acting, being curious about my characters until we're done shooting is so important. Being curious about the process and what I can change really changes my work. In my relationship, being curious about my friends, to always just be like, who are you today? Because I know you have to be different than who you were last week. In my like romantic relationships, like keeping that sense of curiosity, no matter how long the relationship has been going. Like, you know, we tend to believe we know people if we've been around them for a long time, but we never really even know ourselves. So how is it possible to know another human being who's also changing and evolving that much? So that sense of curiosity has been like articulating a sense of curiosity and putting that in my wheelhouse and my like toolkit as a thing that I always have to get back to. Like, be curious about that. Don't just think you understand.
Guys, this was awesome. Congratulations. 9 Days. Beautiful movie. Great job from all of you and Edson. Thanks for a fabulous interview, guys.
Thanks.
Sure.
Take care, guys.
Bye.